right, people, I'm bored as hell, so we out here reacting to another MUJIN video. I don't know what it is. I just like listening to this guy talk whenever he talks about stuff. I'm gonna be real with you. This guy puts out some pretty quality stuff. He's one of those channels who can just put out something, and then you could just have this on in the background and just be cooking. Or it's fun for a reaction video. Either way, great content. I recommend him a lot. He does a lot of controversies, or he covers a lot of stuff when it comes to the VTuber space, but then he also covers other things like, you know, once again, there's like the Uma Musume thing. When that game blew up, that was huge, and then other stuff. But for the most part, pretty good content. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and get straight into this. And apparently, we're going to be taking a look at the evil agency that lost all of its VTubers in under a year. The horrific misdeeds of Walker -910E. I don't know what that is. This is probably way before my time. Like, whatever this is probably a VTuber agency that more likely than not popped up way, like, I'm talking 2018, 2019, more likely than not, because I might be wrong. This might be recent. I just didn't hear about it. But as far as I knew, you know, I've never heard of this before, so this ought to be good. This ought to be good. Losing all your VTubers under a year, though, is kind of crazy. That's crazy. So without further ado, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and well, let's go ahead and get straight into this.
If I were to ask you to give me the name of the worst VTuber agency or corporation to have ever existed,
I'm probably saying vshojo due to the recent stuff, or maybe Niji Sanji due to the controversies they be having. I'm not gonna lie. It's between those two at the moment. And we already know what happened with vshojo, I'm gonna be real. But once again, we're looking at an evil agency that lost all its VTubers in under a year. So these guys might take first place.
Probably have a hard time choosing one if you've been keeping up with the VTubing industry for these last few years. Most likely though, it would be a choice between two agencies in particular. The first one would be Niji Sanji, an agency worth over $1 billion on the Japanese stock market that almost made one of its top talents leave this planet.
Bro, this shit was wild, bro. I wasn't in tune with the VTuber space around this time. In fact, I didn't become a VTuber until like... Actually, what the fuck? This happened in 2024? I thought this happened a while back, way longer than that. My bad. This happened last year? Damn, my memory must be bad. Because I did hear about this, but I thought this was like a long... My memory must be really bad, because I thought this was 2023. I thought this was 2023, because I'm about to say, I wasn't really in tune with the VTuber space, but I was kind of like interested in it. And yeah, I did hear about this whole entire thing, because obviously back then, yeah, you know, it was Niji Sanji versus Hololive. And yeah, this was a thing. This was a thing, but I was like apparently a VTuber when this happened, because I got my VTuber model in 2022, but I guess my memory just must be trash for some reason. But yeah, this was a thing, and yeah. Yeah, Niji Sanji, man, they have a track record of having a lot of controversies, at least before vshojo did what they did.
Back in 2024 because of how toxic its internal work culture truly was.
Funny enough, and he even explained this during the whole vshojo thing, funny enough, a lot of those talents that went to vshojo came from Niji Sanji. Like, there was like a meme. There was like a meme that a lot of Niji Sanji, or vshojo, was like a Niji Sanji like retirement home, you know, for VTubers who kind of got out of this company because, you know, of their practices. First thing with, like, when it comes to agencies, I'm gonna be real. When it comes to agencies, I feel like that if you really don't care about, like, you know, all the crazy stuff that be going on around them, it's like one of those things where you can kind of like join one to get your name out there. But me personally, I don't think it's worth it. I think we live in a day and age, especially as of recent, where being an indie is just the way to be. It really is. You don't grow as fast, or maybe you will, and, you know, it's kind of up to the algorithm and how good you are as a content creator. But it's also, and obviously, you know, how good your model looks somewhat to a degree. You gotta, you know, add that in there. But it's just one of those things where you're like, you never know, man. You never know. But I feel like indie is kind of the way to go, especially after the vshojo thing. It's kind of one of those things, but we'll see.
But then you'd probably think, well, that's really bad, but there's also
vshojo,
one of the most respected VTuber agencies who scammed their top talent out of $500,000 she was meant to give to charity.
Yeah,
I mean, really, tragically,
that's like some Eisen type shit.
But what if I told you that both of these answers are wrong? What
Oh,
if I
really?
told you that there was a VTuber agency out there that was worse than these two combined?
I mean, how do you get worse than this? I mean, obviously losing all your VTubers within under a year is kind of crazy, which is why I'm saying this company that he's about to talk about is probably going to be crazy, because that's wild. But like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how you get worse than this, but I guess everything that the saying goes that it could always be worse, and I guess in this case it is worse.
An agency so scummy that they would manage to lose 40 of their talents within
40?
less than a year. An agency
40? So you tell me 40 people joined this talent agency and they lost all 40 of them? I can't read this, by the way. This is definitely all Spanish.
so disgusting that they would send lawyers after your fans if they had something negative to say about them, and an agency so unforgivable that they would publish your social security number for everyone to see on your own Twitter account.
Okay, yeah, that's on some evil shit, bro. You could do a lot of shit with a social security number. It's why that it's like one of those things that like it's one of those things that honestly, just so I don't have to carry mine around, I memorized mine. I memorized my social security number just so that I wouldn't have to carry mine around. Because let's say you're carrying your social security number around and then you lose it. Like if you lose your wallet or your wallet gets stolen, bro, they can do so much shit with that. That's basically like your ID for real, like your actual ID. Like you can do so much shit with that. You can, you know, get a loan and all sorts of other, like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And especially in the world we live in with all the scammers and shit that be going on out here, bro. Losing your social security now these days, that shit's scary. Let alone, I guess in this case, having, I guess, your VTuber agency post it on Twitter of all places.
Just because you didn't want to renew your contract with them.
That's crazy.
I'm of course talking about Wactor. And shockingly enough, these events actually did happen, and they weren't even half of the depraved acts they would pull.
Oh
and
boy.
Recently, they set a very dangerous precedent, not just for this industry, but for any entertainment industry.
No, I'm just gonna let it go because I'm about to say, how long ago was 2024? Well, let me see. Bro, these guys. So this isn't even like an old company. This is a new agency that was getting sued. Because I'm looking at this, right, and it says 2024, 2025. Like what? How did I, bruh? Well, I guess they lost all their stuff within a year, but
guys, my jaw was on the floor researching this video and seeing that this agency not only still managed to exist to this day, but is still being very concerningly dangerous. I thought that we had to talk about it.
Bro, the fact that this happened recently, and once again, this is one of those things. Well, I guess this agency probably wasn't really huge in America. It probably was really huge in other countries. But that's still crazy. They shut down within a year, 2024 to 2025. That's wild.
You already know the drill. Let's do this right after the sponsor. A special occasion is something that deserves to be celebrated, like a birthday, your sibling having a child, or Etheria Restart launching Global Fest on September 25th. That's why they'll be giving out 10 free polls with the code Etheria0925.
I was gonna say, how old is this video? September 25th. This gotta be old. 12 days ago. September 25th. I mean, I guess sponsors are sponsors though. I was about to say, yeah, September been long gone.
Free SSR selector where you can choose your favorite SSR character instantly. But that's not all. If you're a returning player, you'll get double drops on materials, a return banner that guarantees you an SSR character that you select, and so much more, like 14 days full of rewards.
I mean, that's not pretty bad. That's not bad. I used to play this game a decent amount when it first came out. I was pretty excited for it. And then Epic 7 did what it did, and now Epic 7's been peak recently, so I kind of fell off of a Theory Restart a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Epic 7 has been absolutely cooking, especially with that free run collab.
You'll need these rewards because there's going to be 2 new SSR characters that look incredible, a new limited skin, and of course, a fresh real-time arena season that includes a new Hyperlinker Cup. The game's really going all out here by even partnering up with some of the top Chinese pro gamers. So if that all sounds good to you, then make sure to check the link in the description or the pinned comment and get a Theory Restart on either mobile or PC today.
For anybody who still plays a Theory Restart, let me know how the game is doing so far. Because I heard that they had got into a controversy a long while back, and that's around the same point that I kind of like fell off of it and started playing Epic 7 again. But You know, I don't know how the game is doing now, but I don't hear a lot about it either. So let me know if you guys still play this game or not. For those of you who do, you know, let me know how the game is doing. Curious.
Thank you, Theory Restart, for sponsoring this video. Alright, so Wactor would unofficially begin its activities on April 2018, when they would post this ad on auction debut.
So this is an older company.
Ad, they would say that they're a newly established VTuber production team seeking voice actors between the ages of 18 and 28. They would then officially establish themselves as a company more than a year later on July 2019.
Okay, so this is an older company. I was about to say, because there's no way I would have heard of this company before. There's no way I would have heard of this. Like wouldn't have heard of this if this was like a 2024, 2025 thing. No way. I was about to say, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense.
A couple of months before that, on May 2019, they would announce their first 3 talents, individually and by name. This would definitely be different from other VTuber agencies which would launch their talents in waves, or groups. This would allow all the members to have a common identity and collab together to make each other grow. In Wactor's case though, there was none of that. They would stream by themselves in a disorganized manner, and it felt like they weren't even part of the same corporation. I mean, they weren't even collabing together. But Wactor's management didn't really seem to be too bothered by this because in the meantime, they were too busy recruiting more people. A few months later, they would recruit Mitsurugi Leah. That's a name you should remember for later. But I'm not even going to bother telling you the names of the other VTubers because around the end of 2019, Wactor would recruit 6 more. You know that?
Damn. So they recruited, like, what does that sound like? They recruited, it sounds like, let's see, they got 3 plus 1, so they got 10 VTubers within a month. I don't know, man. I mean, it's good to get a lot of talents at the same time, but I don't know how big this company was. It sounds like they're just starting up. You need money in order to be able to support all these VTubers, so I hope that I mean, what's the old saying for, like, companies that, like, it's kind of like how with COVID, there was a lot of companies that were like hiring on a bunch of people. And then once the bubble burst, after people started kind of going back to normal, then all of a sudden they had to start firing people because they couldn't pay them enough or anything like that. It was like they overhired basically.
Piece of advice you get when you open a business, which is don't expand too quickly. Well, Wactor was just taking that advice and wiping their ass with it. By the end of 2019, this newly established company had 11 talents. Eventually, as things would start to get very confusing, they'd finally divide their talents into groups and give them names. The first 5 members would be officially called the Mirage Wave.
So damn, they straight up just said, yo, screw all the official stuff. We're just gonna hire a bunch of VTubers right now. We're not gonna waste any time on anything else. We'll figure it out later. I guess that's one way to go about it.
The other 6 talents they would recruit at the end of 2019 would have 5 be a part of the second wave, which was called Sister Unit. I know, very creative name. Apparently, it was meant to be called Kemomizu, but they couldn't agree on a name, so yeah, there you have it. Anyway, finally, you'd have the 6th member in their own group because they were meant to be a VTuber that would stream exclusively on Bilibili, which is pretty much Chinese YouTube. So Wactor was already trying to diversify. They essentially debuted 2 different waves. The first one barely got any footing before they decided to announce the second one. And within just a few months, they would start dropping like flies. This was already a red flag, obviously, when you see members of your first wave start to leave in under a year.
9 months, that's it? Damn, that's fast. Also, I just thinking about this while he was talking about all the details of, like, you know, the hiring and everything like that when it comes to this agency. I was just thinking about it. You know what would be cool is if they had, like, a VTuber, like, I guess, agency, but, like, for, like, Soul Reapers or some shit. I don't know. I'm just talking about myself at this point. Where you have all the captains and then all that stuff, and then, like, you have lieutenants and everything like that, and then so on and so forth. That'd be pretty cool, like, having, like, a Soul Society kind of, like, thing. I don't know. I'm just yapping out my butt right now, but, like, that'd be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That'd be pretty cool. Just without the corrupt, you know, I guess, leadership. I don't know. That for some reason, I don't know what it is with these agencies. Can we get one without any corrupt leadership? It looks like Hololive is like the last man standing right now because vshojo's gone. Niji Sanji's cooked. Hololive, I really haven't heard anything negative about them in a minute. They had their controversies, but it hasn't been as bad as those two. And then, of course, you got these guys. Holy, man.
But this was 2019. VTubing was still niche in Japan and unrecognized globally. Because of that, people wouldn't really look too deep into this, thinking that this might have been caused by some disagreements or the growing pains of a new company.
Yeah, this sounds like one of those things, like, once again, 2019, VTubing was not that big, and Japanese basically had a monopoly on it. So it makes sense that I probably, or a lot of people probably didn't hear about this unless you were like well into the VTuber community at that point, which I was not. 2019, I was getting ready to join the military, and I was also in college at that point, so I would definitely not have known what was going on during this point in time.
Choosing to instead celebrate the short legacy of these talents while saying goodbye. So as I said, in 2019 they had 11 talents, and by 2020, okay, by March 2020, they
only had six. So they lost
half their
5 people.
Talent roster had just left within a few months. It was safe to say that this company that had just started was already at death's door. Unlike other more successful corporations, nothing they were doing was calculated. It seemed like they were throwing poop on the wall and hoping it sticks. And while that normally wouldn't have worked, Wactor just seemed to be in the right place at the right time.
Bro, that's the crazy thing is like, bro, that's really like, even like just outside of like VTuber agencies or like, you know, just outside of like anything in general, content creation or whatever it may be, you just gotta be in the right place at the right time and boom, you're good. You're good. And this could go for anything. This could go for anything, bro. You gotta just be in the right place at the right time. If you are, and that opportunity comes, bro, you gotta take that shit for real.
During the year 2020, VTubing would go from this niche little hobby to a money-printing industry in Japan. But big corporations also realized that there was also huge potential in English-speaking markets. In the second half of 2020, many of the bigger corporations would start launching English branches. They would end up finding incredible success. Wactor, on the other hand,
I'm not surprised. I'm not gonna be real. Like 2020, when COVID happened, everybody was stuck inside. Like, once again, anything that had to do with anything being online, like especially in the gaming space, boom, in there. Anime also blew up around the same time, boom. That basically, like anime and VTubing, I'm not even gonna lie to you, both those things getting popular at the same time during 2020 was like a mixture for success if you wanted to be part of an agency or anything like that. That was like the golden age. It was like the golden age, for real. Not the golden age of anime, but like for VTubing specifically. Golden age, bro. 2020 to like 2021, I'd say was the gold rush of VTubing, for real. The golden age of anime, I'm not gonna lie to you, that was like early 2000s, I'm gonna be real. Early 2000s, I'd say to like 2016. That was like the golden age. And then after that, then it really kind of started speeding up in 2020.
Completely untraditional approach. Instead of starting their own English branch, they would do something completely different. On May 2021, their second generation would debut.
I'm wrong about that. I'm thinking I'm yapping my brain off right now. The golden age was for anime. My bad. Early 90s to like 2016. My bad. That was the golden age.
Shino Lila, Kurari Rose, Hoshino Suzu, and Hina Misora. And what made these talents special is that while they spoke Japanese, they also happened to speak Spanish. And due to this, Wactor would unexpectedly strike gold. Look, if we take the example of YouTube, Mexico is the 5th country with the most YouTube viewers. This is just one of many Spanish-speaking countries, and I mean, honestly, Brazil is 3rd. They can probably make an effort to understand Spanish just like I do when a Canadian speaks French. So that's obviously a lot of people. The Spanish language is also very popular on Twitch, with over 130,000 viewers waiting to watch their favorite streams.
That's not bad. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how updated it is for today's day and age, but that's pretty damn big. I'm not gonna lie. And honestly, they kind of struck gold with this because you don't really like hear a lot of Spanish-speaking VTubers. Usually a lot of the ones that you see online are like Japanese or English, so you know, hitting a niche market like that is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
I also have to mention the fact that the most watched Twitch stream of all time had peaked at 9.1 million viewers and was a Spanish live streamer by the name of iBuy. The second most watched stream is not even half that amount. It's sitting at 2.5 million. This was a market almost every agency was completely sleeping on, but it had essentially been given to Wactor on a silver platter. Their second wave would gain so much popularity that they would start to collab with Niji Sanji live streamers. These collabs typically wouldn't happen through DMs and be spontaneous. No, they would be planned way ahead between the companies themselves. The fact that Wactor was able to collab with a corporation as big and important as Niji Sanji at the time was a testament to how successful their second wave was. And it wouldn't take long for the fruits of their labor to finally show, because by July 31st, 2021, Wactor would be sure to tell the world and flex that they are now in the top 10 Japanese VTuber agencies when it came to sub count.
I mean, that's not bad. Once again, I'm assuming this is early 2020, my bad, not early 2000s. This is like 2020-ish, I would assume. So, yeah, 2020, 2021. So, I would assume, yeah, no, that's not too bad. Once again, 2020, 2021 was like the gold rush for VTubing. And not to mention, all the games, like, once again, Genshin Impact and so on and so forth, that blew up around that time period. Like, golden age, man. Golden. And anime blowing up. Like, once again, like, for people wondering why I even talk about anime being in correlation with VTubing, it's because obviously, anime girls and everything like that. And when anime blew up in 2020, then people who had never seen anime or probably have never seen a VTuber before kind of got into that niche, and then boom, everything blows up. Pretty big stuff right there. Pretty big. And to be able to collab with Niji Sanji, I guess, back then was also really big. Especially since VTuber was still pretty new at that point in time.
Ranked 8th. This was right in the middle of VTubing's golden age. A very significant achievement. It seemed like those days of Wactor throwing poop on the wall hoping it sticks were long behind us. And with the Spanish community, the sky was the limit. Well, the sky was the limit until they decided to cross a line that no other VTuber agency or corporation had ever dared to cross.
Oh boy, well... As the old saying goes, all good things, I guess, must come to an end. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
ShinobiEevee was one of the 4 VTubers that were part of that Spanish-speaking second wave. She, just like the other talents that debuted with her, found immense success with the Spanish-speaking community and were able to truly bring Wactor to the top 10 VTubing agencies in Japan. This is why it was extremely shocking to pretty much every fan of hers and Wactor when the company would post on November 28, 2021, a tweet that said, "Notice of suspension of Lila Shino," saying, "We are grateful to our fans for their constant support of our members. We would like to inform you that our company's member ShinobiEevee has been suspended due to breach of contract. We have already confirmed the facts with her in question, and we will make a decision on how to proceed. We apologize to our fans for any concern this may cause. Other members are fine, and we hope that you will continue to support our members as always. Wactor Corporation," signed by the CEO himself, Akira Oishi. Yeah, so that pretty much came out of absolutely nowhere.
See, the question is now, what was the suspension about? Because based on what I'm hearing, it probably was something really stupid.
31 replies, mostly in Spanish, begging Wactor to reconsider and hoping that the suspension won't last too long, because I do need to make a distinction here. A suspension is different from a termination. She wasn't being kicked out of the company. She was just being told to pause all her activities. It is, however, seen as a bit of an extreme measure, and it's seen negatively because it's typically the first step you take before terminating a talent. But even with all these factors combined, fans remained hopeful. I mean, come on, this is one of the agency's biggest talents. I'm sure they'll find a solution, right? Well, instead of hope, fans would instead be met with complete and utter silence. That would be until the 23rd of December, 2021, so more than a month later, where ShinobiEevee would post a promotional video of Wactor on her socials saying nothing else. Her page was essentially being used as a marketing tool, while the hundreds of fans in the comments were still demanding answers. What the hell?
Wait. So basically, that wasn't even her who posted that. So basically, the company used her channel to promote themselves while not telling the fans what was that's dirty. That's dirty, bro. That is dirty, bro. Using one of your talents' profiles to promote your agency while having that talent on suspension and then not even telling the fans what's going on, that's dirty. That's crazy. I don't even think Niji Sanji has done that, or even I don't think any agency has done that. That's crazy.
What the hell's going on? You can't just use her page for marketing without informing us of what happened to her. Well, enough was enough. By the end of 2021, many of her fans had written letters to Wactor demanding to know when her suspension was going to be over and if she'll be able to continue her activities or just end the contract. They wanted to know this. They were getting tired of the silence. At the same time, they would launch a movement on Twitter with the hashtag #FreeLila. And even though the community tried their absolute best to force Wactor to finally say something, they would have to wait months until March 2022 to finally get a statement on what's going on. I'm sure that they had many guesses as to what could happen, how Layla had maybe breached the contract, how Wactor would probably react to their statement. But in reality, no one could have ever predicted the sheer horror that they would face when they'd see their favorite VTuber get doxxed by their own agency.
What?
On March 2nd, 2022, Wactor would unexpectedly make a tweet on their company page. Here's what it had to say. Report on the damage claim and lawsuit response to blank blank, which is her real name, in parentheses, ShinobiEevee.
That's
this tweet
crazy.
is still up to this day, by the way. It's been 3 years. They still haven't taken it down.
There's no way. You know what? Out of respect for whoever this is, I'm not going to look it up. I was about to do it. Hold on. Let me pause. I'm actually going to confirm this. Like, I'm actually about to confirm this. Hold up. I'm actually curious. There's no way that is actually still up right now. There's no actual way. There's no actual way. Yeah, it's still up to this day. That's crazy. That's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. If you're wondering how I find this, I just typed in ShinobiEevee, but yeah, that's pretty nuts, bro. I'm not gonna lie. That's still up to this very day. That's crazy.
The title of this document was Report on the Damage Claim and Lawsuit Response to blank blank. They would go on to say that this whole thing happened because of her problematic conduct. It was discovered that you are engaged in VTuber activities, including monetization outside of the company, which is prohibited by the contract. Her activities were suspended. Even after this suspension, she kept her personal account private and acted as if she was the victim, thereby bringing discredit to the company. It was also...
So, the problem that they had was that she was making content, I would assume? Monetized content outside of the company. So she was probably making content, this is my guess, on another YouTube channel that didn't have anything to do with the content. Company, my bad. And I guess that's against the contract. I mean, I guess.
Also confirmed that she instructed her followers not to leak her account to the outside world by taking screenshots of what she said on that private account. Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious. Wactor didn't really bother hiring any English translators, which is why this is so badly translated. But overall, this entire suspension and them having to dox her in public for no reason was because she had a personal social media account, right? She had a personal YouTube channel, a personal Twitter, and would sometimes use those things instead of being ShinobiEevee 24/7.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of stupid. And the doxing especially. The doxing especially is really stupid. Just because somebody else has a private account that they were using before they joined your company doesn't mean that they don't get to use that anymore. You don't get to control somebody's life just because they join your agency. That's stupid. That's really dumb, let alone the doxing part.
File a claim for damages against ShinobiEevee and would also take it a step further by saying that they're working with their lawyers to consider legal actions against literal fans of hers that are defaming the company.
What? We out here playing we're out here like Nintendo with this shit, bro. We just suing everybody. That's what this reminds me of. This reminds me of Nintendo, where they're just out here suing anybody and everybody they can, bro. The lawyers are out here just happy to sue anybody and everybody. That is crazy.
Fans, right? We're not even talking about talent here. They would end this by saying that they weren't going to respond to any inquiries on the matter, and that the reason why they took so long to respond to this was because it's a very serious problem. This was the first time that a VTuber company or agency had committed the biggest form of taboo you could imagine. VTubers are VTubers because they care about their privacy, their anonymity. The fact that this company was willing to absolutely destroy that anonymity if they had any problems with you as a talent was the worst look imaginable.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Absolutely shocked. Now, usually when someone leaves a VTuber corporation, they also leave behind their identity because that name, that model, the brand itself belongs to the corporation, so they are not legally allowed to mention it. They can't say that I used to be this VTuber at that corporation. This is why the response of the woman who used to be ShinobiEevee I would be so significant. She would quote tweet Wachter's statement and say, since this is published by the company itself, so apparently it looks like I have the right to say I was ShinobiEevee.
Yeah, so she really straight up went and said, yo, fuck it. Since we out here doxing people, let me just, go out of my way and just, yeah. Yeah, this shit is wild.
Am I the first VTuber in history to be doxxed by her own company? Guys, please get me the trophy.
That's
Someone
wild.
would then ask, what? Isn't it illegal to publicly name someone in this kind of way? To which she would say, yeah, it's illegal, lol, both in Thailand and Japan. She specified this since she wasn't even in Japan. She's Thai. Now look, this was already a lot to take in as a fan of Wachter, especially a Spanish-speaking fan that loved the second.
That's crazy. I wonder if they got sued for that. He's probably going to talk about it, but I wonder if they got sued for that, because if doxing is illegal in Thailand and Japan, at least back in 2022, I'm pretty sure it's illegal in a lot more places now in 2025. I'm pretty sure it's illegal in America, especially like right now too. I'm pretty sure it's illegal to dox people in America right now. But like that's kind of nuts. That's nuts, man.
Wave. But this was still the beginning. On the same day that they doxed ShinobiEevee, they would also suspend Kurari Rose, another member of the second
back
wave.
to back?
The Spanish community that was handed on a silver platter to Wachter was now getting tired of this company that was seemingly going downhill. The
back
top
to
reply
back?
to the suspension tweet would say, please go indie. This company's going downhill. You can collab with whoever you want. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, nah, at this point, bro, if I was part of this company, like if I was part of this agency, I'm going indie immediately. Because back-to-back suspensions is crazy, let alone the fact that you doxed one of them and are trying to sue the fans at the same time. I'm out.
Follow you wherever you go.
I'm gone.
Now, when VTubers are usually faced with something like this, like a corporation having it out for them, they might back away or silence themselves out of fears of legal repercussions. But what Wachter had done was such a disgusting violation of privacy that the VTubers were not going to just stand idly by, especially with the massive support of their fans. And so the woman behind ShinobiEevee would come back under a new persona by the name of Eileen Noir, and she would tweet this out almost a month later on April 16th, 2022, saying, I would like to inform you the current situation of me, the person in charge of VTuber character ShinobiEevee and a former member of Wachter agency. Please see full detail in the image below. Here's what she had to say.
Here we go.
First of all, I would like to apologize for causing concern to everyone. My name is Eileen Noir, and I was in charge of the VTuber character ShinobiEevee at Wachter. The agency contract between Wachter and I, at the latest, have been cancelled by March 2022. However, on the 2nd of March 2022, Wachter has posted a document on their official social media regarding report of damages claim and legal action against the person in charge of ShinobiEevee, which exposed my real name that does not need to be exposed at all to the public. Furthermore, the content posted on that social media is not considered as a fact in my point of view, and it terribly damaged my privacy and honor as it is a one-sided information, which is very shocking to me, and I feel terribly sorry for causing this concern to everyone. As of now, I have signed a lawyer contract to handle all of this matter, so I'll refrain from making any further comment regarding this matter at the moment. Moreover, I would like to inform you that the lawyer has already contacted Wachter several times in order to discuss our differences in point of views of both parties. However, at this moment, Wachter has never responded. Therefore, I decided to consult with the lawyer once again, and we have determined that this matter is difficult to resolve through prompt discussions, so I decided to post this letter on my social media account in order to inform the situation to all of ShinobiEevee fans and related parties. Lastly, I'm terribly sorry for causing concern to everyone.
Bro, you know it's bad when the lawyer is trying to get in contact with a company, any company for that matter, over something like this, or just in general, and then they ain't responding. That's how you know for a fact that the company that's, the lawyer's trying to contact, yeah, they're cooked. They know they fucked up.
Everyone. As for future activities, I would like to challenge myself once again to deliver entertainment as Eileen Noir. I would like to take this as an opportunity to start a new journey. I will do my best, and I will be very happy if you support me once again. Signed, Eileen Noir. So yeah, there was no reason for Wachter to release her full name. This was pure and
yeah,
utter
this is
pettiness.
pretty bad.
Her contract was going to expire on March anyway, and it seemed like she wasn't really interested in renewing. When Wachter found that out, they suspended her and stopped her from being able to make money, which is why she started...
So technically, the problem they had wasn't with the fact that she, I guess, had a whole other social media account. They found out that she didn't want to renew the contract and got salty, so then they suspended her and then doxed her at the same damn time. So that whole nonsense they were talking about before, with them talking about some, oh, we're suspending her because of a breach of a contract, was really them suspending her because she didn't want to, I guess, sign back on with them after the contract was done. That's crazy.
Streaming on her personal account. At this point, this wasn't a VTuber agency. It was like dealing with the cartel. But
Yeah,
Eileen
that's
wasn't
pretty
the
bad.
only one to speak out. Marin Marino, who used to be Kurari Rose, would also release a statement at the same exact time, saying that the reason why the contract was terminated was because her and Wachter have cognitive differences and it is difficult to build a trust relationship.
Shit, I would believe so. I would assume with all the crap that's going on right now, Jesus Christ, this company's on some bullshit. And this is only like the first thing. Who knows what other nonsense they've been doing. Like, we still got a whole nother 30 minutes of this.
She intended to be Kurari Rose until the end of her contract. But seeing that Wachter took her access away from those accounts and didn't let her go live anymore, she couldn't, and it wasn't her intention. She would then specify that on March 2nd, 2022, Wachter hadn't terminated her, they had just suspended her, which means she's technically still under contract, and they weren't intending on letting her go. They wanted...
So basically, it's a trap. They won't let her post content, so she can't get paid for her content that she's supposed to be making, but because she's not able to leave the company, she can't do anything legally. It's a trap. That's fucking wild. This company's on some major ass bullshit, bro. And if I don't know what the other talents were doing at this point in time, but if I'm a talent a part of this company, not only am I speaking out about this shit, but I'm going indie after this, bro. Like, I'm gonna be out here doing some of that crap that happened when freaking vshojo was acting up, where I'm literally just gonna go live and straight up call one of the people and be like, yo, I'm quitting. I'm out.
For her to stay trapped. Kind of like how they had trapped Layla for months. She said that she hired a lawyer as well, but that he had not heard back from Wachter. They seem to be ghosting everyone. And of course, apologized to her fans, hoping that they'll follow her on this new journey. So Wachter was truly using every dodgy method in the book here, all in an effort to control their talents and force them to stay with them for extended periods of time, even though they might have signaled that they wanted to leave and not renew their contract. This was very nasty behavior, but it was also concerning.
Like, imagine if that was like a company or someplace that you worked at or a job you worked at where you're like, hey, you know, I don't want to work here no more. I don't like how I'm being treated or whatever. And then they say, nah, we're just not going to let you leave. Like, I don't know how that would work in real life, but that would be some crazy stuff, dude.
Because it didn't seem like they had any limits. You pissed them off? Well, you're fair game. It didn't matter if you were a talent or a fan. And after these incidents, people were very well aware of that. To say that things were looking bad for Wachter now was an understatement. In total, they had recruited 18 members and 11 of them were gone. Two of those members were part of their second generation, the generation that truly put them on the map, and one of them got publicly doxxed. And what wasn't looking good at all for Wachter is that one of the two remaining second generation members, Suzu Hoshina, hadn't streamed for a long time, making her fans worried that she'd be next to leave. And unfortunately for them, they'd end up being exactly right. Her exit would...
I was about to say, yeah, after all the stuff that's happened, I would have been gone too. There's no way.
Of course, be a bit less dramatic. She wouldn't get doxxed publicly and dragged through the mud. No, she'd simply say that she had a hard time managing her personal life and her professional life. But that's her probably wanting to avoid any drama. Yeah. Because in reality, if a coworker of mine was publicly...
Yeah, no, she definitely saw what was going on with her coworkers. And it's like, yeah, I'm out. I would have done the same. But me personally, me just seeing that, there's no way I would not be... There's no way. I mean, legally, there's a bunch of stuff that I probably don't know about. But after that legal shit is all done, bro, there's no way in hell that I'm not about to be coming out of there and be like, oh, yeah, this company's on some bullshit.
Doxxed by my own company over some stupid bullshit, I'd want to leave immediately too. And that's exactly what you ended up doing on May 9th, 2022. with only one member left from their second generation. And most members having retired already, people thought that Wactor didn't have another year in them.
Yeah, they're cooked.
They were going to close down their doors fairly soon. Well, just like how a cockroach can survive radiation, Wactor would prove itself way more resilient than anyone had anticipated. On July 2022, they would shamelessly celebrate a new milestone. They had reached a total of
How, bro? How? After all of that? Bro, how, dude? That's crazy. You out here got a company that's out here not only doxing their VTubers, you know, suspending them for certain shit, and then on top of that, trapping one of their VTubers. Bro, what are we doing out here? How?
200,000 subscribers on all their channels. At the same time, their ridiculous thirst of uncontrollable expansion would continue. And on November 2022, they would open up their first Indonesian VTuber auditions, as well as more auditions for Chinese speakers to stream on Bilibili. And as the idea of male VTubers would go from a very bad joke to an unstoppable enterprise, mostly due to things like the Luxium wave under Nijisanji, Wactor would immediately hop on that train, and by the end of 2022, they would launch their own VTuber male wave with...
I'm trying to figure out how nobody else is just like looking at this company at this point after all that, and it's like, nah, bro, we ain't doing this. How? I mean, once again, I think I talked about this in the beginning of the video, but sometimes people will kind of look past this kind of stuff because they just are, you know, they want to get their name out there, you know? And they, you know, sometimes I guess companies can improve, but in this case, there's no way after I mean, maybe I'll give these guys the benefit of the doubt. The people that are getting into, you know, this company probably didn't know about what was going on, especially since it was like 2019, 2020, 2021. VTubing was still, like, it was in its golden age, but it was still growing. Plus, everybody's eyes were probably on Nijisanji and Hololive before anything. Not to mention, this is the Spanish community, so the English community probably didn't know nothing about this. And then also looks like they hired Chinese VTubers as well, so yeah. It was like, the only reason it looks like probably, in my opinion, that they were still able to survive is because, like, the whole world wasn't on their butt at the same time. It's not like a vshojo situation where everybody was on them, bro. Or like a Nijisanji thing where everybody's like, oh yeah, this is, you know, we ain't doing this. Because no way, bro. No way.
Great talents. And if that wasn't enough, as all of this was happening, as they were expanding like crazy, they would also open auditions for Spanish-speaking VTubers, purely Spanish. This time, they weren't even looking for Japanese. And so it was definitely weird to see a VTuber company break one of the most fundamental rules of VTubing, all while having over 70% of their roster leave, and yet they still carried on like nothing had happened. But as you might have guessed, that wouldn't last long, because soon enough, the time would come when another one of their talents would piss them off.
Oh
and
boy.
what they'd end up doing in retaliation?
Oh boy.
Well, it would shake the entire VTuber industry to its core.
Okay, so this must be the one where everybody, like, whatever they do here is probably going to be where everybody, not just like Spanish-speaking people or like Chinese people are looking at it, or even the Japanese. This is going to be the one where everybody's about to see it, I would assume.
On February 28th, 2023, Wactor would post this tweet saying, "Report on the actions taken against those who slander and defame." So remember how in Shinoleila's termination notice where they doxed her, they said that they were considering going after the fans who are also defaming them.
There's no way they actually went through with that.
They had done that against 4 different fans.
What?
And went ahead and posted an address of those fans that was partially censored. You could, however, see the country, which is Mexico, the city, and...
So they not only doxed one of their VTubers, but they out here just doxing random people. Yo, who are these people? The IRS? Yo, these people on some nonsense right now. You doxing bro, not even Nintendo's doing this. Not yet anyway. They're not out here doxing people. They're suing people, but they ain't doxing people. What are we doing out here?
And the post code. Look, this company has always been known to be petty. Not only did they openly dox one of their previous talents just because
this company is more petty than Nintendo.
But they were also well known to block anyone who had negative things to say about them on Twitter. Yeah, it seemed like...
I'm not gonna be lying to you, bro. If you get blocked on Twitter by somebody, that basically means you won the fight. 9 times out of 10, unless you're being really stupid. Unless you're being really stupid. 9 times out of 10, when you get blocked on Twitter, that means you said something that like you dropped like a truth nuke on them that like they just couldn't handle it, bro. They couldn't handle it.
Like, even though this company just kept expanding, they weren't going to let go of this disgusting pettiness. In fact, they were taking it to the next level, going after actual fans of the company and their VTubers and posting their partially censored addresses for everyone to see. Again, I want to specify, Nijisanji, vshojo, whatever other companies that you think are crazy in this space, no one has ever done this.
Yeah.
Period. And as astronomically bad as this already is, it would only serve as the appetizer to the main course.
The appetizer?
Later. So, remember the second
What do you
wave.
mean the appetizer? What is the main course?
Left, and only Hina Misora remained. Seeing that she was the only Spanish-speaking VTuber left from that very successful wave, her channel grew exponentially, becoming not just one of the biggest VTubers in the agency, but one of the biggest Spanish-speaking VTubers in general.
Oh boy.
Now, on December 8th, 2022, Wachter would tweet this, saying, Misora Ina is feeling a bit unwell, so she will have to take a break for a while and rest. Surely she also hopes for the same, to return to streaming and spend time with her fans. Thank you very much for your understanding. The replies, as well as the sentiment in general, was just hope for her to get better as soon as possible. The fans were very supportive, and they were going to wait for her no matter how long it took. Except, it started taking quite a while. On January 2nd, 2023, Ina Misora would make this very simple tweet saying, Esta hora antoja cereal, which pretty much means that right now I'm craving cereal. Well, I don't know if she knew this, I don't know if anyone could have predicted this, but this would actually end up being the final tweet she would ever make on this account. Because after this, no one would hear from her again. People started getting very worried, getting flashbacks to Shino Layla. But the woman behind Misora Ina was not going to let that happen. She didn't want her fans to panic for no reason. So a month later, on February 15th, 2023, she would make this statement on her personal account, saying both in Spanish and in Japanese that as of February 9th, 2023, she has terminated her affiliation with Wachter as the relationship of trust necessary for the proper development of activities has been lost.
Okay. Yeah, no big surprise there, honestly, you know. Once again, with all the stuff that happens with this company at this point, from what we're hearing, who knows what was happening behind the scenes, dude? Like, holy, dude. Like, the amount of stress, the amount of people whose mental health was probably affected through all what this company's been doing, it must have been bad, bro.
She apologized for any concern she might have caused her fans by disappearing like this, and said that she will continue being a VTuber as Meika now. The support that she had received after this was huge. She had an incredible community, and they all backed her up. I mean, honestly, at this point, they were probably expecting this to happen, because look at what happened to the previous talents.
Yeah.
And speaking of the previous talents, they would also tweet at the same exact time, the same exact day, an update on what's going on with them and Wachter. Eileen Noir, who used to be Shino Layla, would tell the world that she tried to contact Wachter multiple times, but they've been ignoring her since 2022. It's been almost a year now. She wanted to specify this because in the same post where they doxed her, they said they'd be also pursuing her legally. She wanted to confirm that Wachter was only bluffing, that they weren't actually going to do that. It's clear. However, Marin Marino would also post an update at the same exact day, same exact time, and would say that Wachter did respond to her, but they couldn't reach any agreement. On June 1st, 2022, a lawsuit would be filed by Wachter, which is still ongoing. She'd say that she's convinced that her time as Kurari Rose did not violate any rules and that the law can prove her innocence. She then went ahead and thanked her fans. It was safe to say at this point
they're just out here. So they're just out here suing anybody who tries to leave their damn company. Who are these petty dudes, bro? Like, who are these people? They just suing off of some BS for real. What are we doing right now? They really say, yo, you leave our company, we suing now. Jesus, man. What in the world? Also, yeah, Rip Bozo. Look at that stock price. They just said in the dirt. Look at that stock price. Whew. Trash. Looking like Ubisoft right now.
Had the same market capitalization on the stock market as Nijisanji, for example, all these tweets would have easily caused a bigger financial catastrophe than what happened to Nijisanji in 2024. Still though, this was extremely damaging to the company because their entire audience that they had built was essentially now against them. They had fired every VTuber that they liked, and they fired them in a way where it was clear they were trying to humiliate them. Things weren't looking good, and Wachter knew this. So what did they do? Did they take a step back and maybe think, you know what, let's cheat?
Bro, I'm Wachter. I'm firing whoever the hell is doing all this suing, bro. Whoever's in charge, if we really want to save this company, I'm firing people, bro. There's no way. Because as of right now with this video, we got VTubers getting doxxed, the fans getting doxxed, and then somebody who wasn't feeling well and then left who's getting doxxed. And sued. Well, not doxxed, but my bad, sued. Like, these guys are the dox and sue supreme out here, bro. What are we doing?
Change how we do things. Let's try to fix some of the things that are making all our talent leave our company. But as you're probably already anticipating by now, they did the exact opposite of that.
Jesus Christ.
Childish management of Wactor would decide to do one of the worst things that have ever been done in VTubing history. I don't say this lightly in any way.
He did say something about something. He did say something about them revealing somebody's social security number. That's probably what this is. I wouldn't be surprised, bro.
2 weeks after Meika would post her statement, they would take control of her past account, which is Hina Misora. And on that account, they would post a statement that included her real name, an approximate address of where she lives, and her fucking social security number ID.
Nah. There's no way. They posted her address, social security number, and her real name all in one go? Dude, who are these people? Like, for anybody watching this, think of like the most evil corporation you could ever think of outside, I guess, these guys in like the VTuber space. And let me know if you've ever seen one of them out here doing some shit like this. Where they're out here, they're so petty that they're out here not only taking control of the person's account who, doesn't work there anymore, but they're out here posting social security, your literal address, and your full name? How did the government not get involved with this? Isn't this shit illegal? Are we serious right now? Bro, if the government didn't get involved at this point, I'm going to be really surprised.
I want to make this clear. Yes, this actually did happen, and it wasn't some sort of mistake or miscommunication.
No, these guys are petty.
That had this information in it. They would post this statement on their website, and they would also post it on a post in her YouTube channel.
So they really just said, everybody just, have at it, bro. We're going to post this everywhere. We're going to literally straight up dox this person, social security, address, real name on our website, on Twitter, on fucking YouTube, everything. Like, what are we doing, dude? That is insane.
What they were doing, and they were hoping to make her life hell for attempting to leave their company. This post was such a vile, disgusting...
Yeah, I'm about to say, there's no way in hell that this post stayed up. There's no way. I bet YouTube and X basically deleted that immediately.
Breach of privacy that you'd see Twitter remove it because it violates their terms of service. But this wouldn't make Wactor back down. Oh no, they would take control of her account again, and in order to avoid getting the post removed by Twitter, they wouldn't attach the statement this time, instead linking a YouTube video that contained all the doxing information anyway. But
yeah, I'm about to say YouTube's definitely removing that. I'm about to say there's no way YouTube's leaving that up, because then they would get cooked for leaving that up.
Thankfully, through the efforts of mass reports by her fans, this video would also be removed from YouTube for violating their terms of service. It contained personal information.
That is wild, dude.
And if that wasn't enough, they also took control of her YouTube channel, and as I said, they would make a post with all this info, and as you can see here, this post is no longer available. This is actually the first time I personally see a YouTube community post get moderated like this. That already says a lot.
That is
Some
wild,
people in the
dude.
community genuinely couldn't believe this.
Bro, I wouldn't be able to believe this.
A VTuber company not only dox one of their talents, but also show us their government ID, their city.
I'm letting you right now that if I'm a part of this if I'm a part of this agency, if I hadn't left by this point, every VTuber at this point after this has happened should just dip. Like, because if this is what, and once again, all these incidents that keep happening based on what he's talking about, all these incidents that keep happening because of what he's talking about are all incidents where VTubers tried to leave this company, bro. And this company is so petty about you leaving that they will out here just straight up dox you, and then on top of that, sue your fans at the same damn time, bro. That is crazy, dude.
Their nationality, like literally everything you need to know about them to stalk them and maybe do horrendous things to them? Well, yes. And now people were very scared to see what they would do with the other talents. People were leaving the company left and right. Were they going to do this every time someone leaves? Well, as they straight up doxed all her personal info, Meika would have a more lighthearted spirit, saying, "Is this the last thing you're going to do while your company falls apart? At least I'm not in the red."
Damn, that's aura, bro. That's aura. That's aura, dude. That is some actual aura, bro.
Hinting that the company wasn't doing too well financially and that she was pretty much leaving a sinking ship, which isn't really hard to believe as a VTuber company when you dox your own talent.
That's
and
aura,
she wasted
dude.
No time whatsoever. On the same day she got doxed,
and then on top of that, yo,
she held her debut stream of her new model. It was a huge...
That's crazy. So I was like, yo, not only am I gonna roast you on Twitter, but then I'm gonna make my own new model and still cook. And it looks like she got more subs on that channel than she had on theirs that they had. That's aura right there. That's how you come back right there. That's how you make a comeback when it comes to a company that corrupt. Not only do you literally turn it into something positive, you roast the company, but on top of that, you come out with your own VTuber model and come back even stronger than you did before, bro. That is how you do it right there. That's how you do it.
The entire community was right behind her. But look, even though she had her head held high, I'd be lying to you if I said that it was all fun and games.
I mean, the doxing was still bad, though. I'm not going to lie. I'd be really concerned about that whole doxing thing. Like, as good as all that other stuff is, I'm really concerned about... I'd be really concerned about that, because that's somebody's whole social security, full name, address, all of it, city. I don't know how long it was before they took that down, but people could do a lot with that information, bro. That is crazy.
A couple days later, Meika would admit to the world that she always struggled with the idea that she was a half-C, a term in Japan given to people who are only half Japanese. For most of her life, she was ashamed of this. She felt like the statement by Wactor, which doxed her, was meant to fully target that vulnerability, exposing to the world that she is not Japanese, that she's only half, that she currently lives in a country that's not Japan, even going as far as posting her national ID. Nowhere in this statement did it say that she breached the contract, because she hasn't. To her, it was clear. The company and the CEO himself were trying to corner her.
They were petty. They're petty. There was no reason for them to do what they did. There was zero reason. Not to mention the shit that they did was illegal anyways. They were just being petty. Simple as that.
That if this was the old her, not the current her, that she would have probably tried to leave this planet over this. But that now it's different. She has finally gotten to the point where she can accept herself and won't let these cruel people simply win. She would end this by saying that she's now consulting with a lawyer on the matter and that she genuinely thanks her fans for being here.
But there's no way the government didn't get involved, or at least that this company didn't get sued for this shit. Because you just doxed a whole person, bro. That is against the law. That is against the law, dude. Also, for anybody talking about, bro, that shit is really depressing when people talk about, giving up on life and shit like that. But I'm gonna be real. Especially when it comes to a situation like this, the best thing you can do in a scenario like this is to keep on living. Live just to spite the people who did you wrong. Live on just so that they can watch you do better. Do what you gotta do. Get in contact with therapy. Get in contact with whoever you need to get in contact with, bro. So that you can live on, bro. Because I'm not gonna lie, and I don't know. Maybe I can only speak for myself on this, but dude, when it comes to this kind of thing, bro, the best thing you can do is ever live on. Live on so that your haters can watch you thrive. That's the best thing that you can do. That's the best thing you can do. Is that when you got haters, when you got people trying to do you dirty like this, you gotta keep living and do better, bro. You gotta do better than you were doing even when you were with them or whatever you were doing, so that they can watch you thrive while they fall. It's crazy stuff, man.
So overall, a horrendous situation
she's doing
that I
all right.
wouldn't wish on my worst enemies. To dox someone's name is already ridiculously taboo, especially in VTubing, but bro, her national ID, the equivalent of a social security number, wow, that is disgusting. At this point, Wactor had lost a lot of money because of this departure and because they had essentially lost the trust of their entire audience. What would follow is a desperate attempt at them trying to recover what little ounce of reputation they had left.
Bro, there is no reputation they have left after this. What, we got 28, we're at 28 minutes. What reputation, bro? I wouldn't be surprised if every VTuber that they do have left at this point leaves after this, bro. We got a company out here that will straight up dox you and sue your fans if you try to leave. That is ridiculous.
And to the surprise of literally no one, it would end up being pathetic and they would fail miserably.
I bet.
On the 28th of February, 2023, the same day they would dox the ever-living shit out of one of their final remaining talents that actually had popularity in their company, Wactor would announce a notice of change in team structure.
Bro, it ain't gonna matter.
Is that this whole first wave, second wave...
It ain't gonna matter, man. It don't matter what y'all changing at this point, bro. Y'all are cooked.
Wave structure wasn't going to apply anymore, seeing that the majority of their talents had left. The remaining talents would be split based on their language and what they do. And of course, they'd be given a name, similar to how other companies have waves. By this point, you had like maybe 30 members that left or something. It was ridiculous. Like, these were the ones that remained. All of these 15 members...
So what is that? Yeah, I'm about to count 15 people. How are these people still here, man? There's no way I'd be able to, after all the shit that this company's done. There's no way, dude. No way. I would have literally straight up, like, once again, I would have done the whole vshojo thing where there was that one VTuber who was part of vshojo who literally went live just to quit vshojo and just straight up say, I'm out. I'm gone. I would have been doing some shit like that. I'm that petty. Because you are not about to be out here doing this shit, suing people, doxing people, and getting away with it, bro. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh, bro. And this company's in the red, so there's no way they out here suing nobody, bro. I'm telling you that now.
Would be split into different teams, but here's the thing. They would be specifically instructed to have the team name in their name and not have any mention of Wactor in their description or branding. Just as a reminder, they hadn't apologized.
Yeah, you know why? And I'm gonna say, yeah, because they didn't apologize for any of the shit they did before. That's why they did that. Think about it. Because Wactor didn't apologize for all the shit that they did before, it would look really bad on these VTubers if they had Wactor's name in their username after all that's happened. Though to be honest, it still is bad anyway. Me personally, I'm out.
Apologized once for anything they've done so far, so this was them essentially saying, we don't want to take any accountability, so just take our name out of your description and branding, and let's just pretend like nothing happened. Well, that's not how the world works, Wactor. It just simply doesn't. On April 8th, Wactor was supposed to debut a new wave comprised of 2 male VTubers. Yeah, they ended up leaving before the debut.
Yeah, yeah, GG's, man. I would no way. If they had gone live, that day, the chat would have been cooking that ass, bro. I'm telling you right now, the chat would have been on that ass like white on rice, dude. Nah. I would have been. I'm with those dudes. I'm out.
Jumping ship immediately. Good for them.
Yeah,
Wactor
gone.
had to, in the most humiliating way possible, delete their accounts the day after, before even beginning anything.
Gone.
They had essentially spent money on their models, their marketing, their debut stream, all
Gone.
that for nothing. I need to really drive the point home here. This had never in the history of VTubing happened to an agency or a corporation. It was extremely humiliating. And you want to know what the best part was? Things were only about to get even worse for them.
Yeah.
One of the only VTubers that
I would assume at this point that everything's about to just go down the shitter. Like, at this point, everything's going down.
From the beginning with Wactor that still were present in 2023 was none other than Mitsurugi Leah, the VTuber I told you to remember from the beginning of the video. Well, see, the thing with her was fans were spreading a very nasty rumor about her, and it was starting to gain a lot of traction. Those rumors said that she was sleeping with the CEO of Wactor because she was getting some preferential treatment. It seemed like she was getting the cooler projects, the cooler events, even though back when the second wave was still around, they wouldn't be getting anything close. Well, barely a week after Wactor had revealed the national ID number of one of their talents, she would announce her graduation because the harassment had gotten way too much for her.
Yeah, I would assume. I mean, between all the stuff that was probably happening behind the scenes, let alone all the harassment that people were making up about this person, that's gotta be rough, man. It's gotta be rough. Though me personally, after the first time, I would have already been gone. There's no way.
What was more tragic here is that this statement was written by her family, because according to them, a few days before the statement was even released, she had attempted to leave this planet. Her family would go on to say that she'd be ceasing all activities as Mitsurugi Leah, and it didn't seem like she was going to continue as an independent entertainer. This was it for her. Now look, we don't know if she actually did have relations with the CEO. Would that be hard to believe?
So damn, that sucks, man. That sucks, man. I don't know, like, obviously we don't know the details about what was actually happening and, you know, whatever, but nobody deserves to be harassed that much or at all for that matter. To the point where it's like, you know, we out here harassing them that bad to where they want to leave the planet like that, man. Like, that's pretty bad. Not gonna lie. That's pretty bad.
In a company like Wactor, no. I can definitely see the CEO saying, hey, I'll give you more stuff and not dox you publicly if you give me what I want. For example, I mean, come on, it's not that hard to imagine. But because of this, Wactor had essentially lost one of its final founding members. And while I'm sure that they were very heartbroken at this news, soon enough, this would actually end up being the least of their worries. Things were getting comically bad for the company. It was ridiculous. False ID sums it up perfectly, so watch.
And now back to Wactor, a VTuber agency that has produced 40 different VTubers. But now, at the time of this recording, only has 4 active VTubers.
This was uploaded on September.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. You went from having 40 to 4? That's pretty bad, bro. But not at the same time, after all we've heard, not surprising.
25th, 2023. And yes, you heard that right. They had over 40 VTubers at some point, and now they were just down to 4 active VTubers. That's because as early as 2022, with the majority being in 2023, especially after the public national ID number doxing, over 14 VTubers under Wactor had not tweeted or streamed or done anything for prolonged periods of time. Now, based on the official Wactor audition pages, we know that every VTuber that signs up with them has a 1-year contract to start. Seeing that all these disappearances exceeded 1 year, so the contract, we could just assume they're not with the company anymore, but the company didn't bother announcing it. And now, of course, you would mistakenly think, MUJIN, things can't get worse from here, right? Like, come on. They already doxed 2 talents publicly.
Shit, don't tell me they're about to dox all 14 of these people, bro. Do not tell me they're about to dox. How many people am I looking at right here? Do not tell me. Let me see this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, don't tell me they're about to dox all 14 of these people. There's no way. There's no way. Do not tell me they're about to be doxing and suing all 14 of them. If they do, if I hear that come out of this man's mouth, then, bro, oh my God. Like, I think we already clarified these guys are probably the most petty company on the planet. Like, these guys are more petty than Nintendo. Nintendo's out here suing Powell because Powell made a better game than them. But what are we doing out here?
They had 40 VTubers, now they have 4. Can things truly get worse than this? Oh, buddy.
I would assume
We're not
yes.
even halfway through the iceberg. 2024 was going to be a new year for Wactor. On January 16th, they would officially
How is this company still alive?
They would no longer be called Wactor, but would become 910 Inc. Apparently, the way their logo looks is meant to resemble the word cute in Japanese. But I personally like 910 because it sounds as soulless as this company.
Yeah, that's a whole...
With the rebrand,
910, bro, that's not a company name. That sounds like a fucking... That sounds like just some made-up shit, bro. Like, that name got no sauce in it. That name got no passion in it, bro. It sounds like some, honestly, fake shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you told me you had a company that was named 910 Inc., I would think that's some scam company or some shit.
Then came a new website and, of course, auditions. The one thing that they love to consistently do for years.
There's no way they get anybody, bro.
This rebranding for
There's no way that they get anybody on board after what they've done so far, bro. There's no way.
Barely a month before a disaster struck in the heart of the company. Remember how they had like barely 4 talents?
Yeah, like 4 dudes, 4 people left.
36. Yeah, well, on February 2024, as the entire VTubing industry was absolutely shocked at what was going on with Nijisanji and Selen Tatsuki, every single remaining member of Wactor would pretty much leave the company and publish a statement revealing to us just how inhumane the working conditions in this company.
Yep, I knew it.
The first talent, Nimori
I knew it, bro. I knew it. I was like, I knew that there was some bullshit going on behind the scenes. As bad as this company was, I knew it, bro. There's no way. There's no way. It makes more sense why all these other VTubers were leaving and all that, even without any real, like, talking about what was going on, I knew there was some bullshit going on behind the scenes. There's no way there wasn't.
By Wachter to do things that were not in her contract. And when she complained, they would simply change the contract as she was already working for them, which is literally
that's illegal, but all right.
With unreasonable pressure and instructions for a long time, to the point where she had to take medication in order to simply sleep. Another talent, Hinagi Ageha, would make this statement, saying that while under Wachter, she was forced to perform work not included in the contract, same as the Marima Chamo, the amount of staff work was clearly not proportional to the amount of money involved. Within the company, she would experience fearful and high-pressure behavior as well as sexual or power harassment.
Here we go, bro.
Receive instructions that prohibit taking prescribed psychiatric medication. She would say, until now, I did not have the courage to press charges because I owed my agency the money I needed for my activities. However, I found myself in a situation where I was under mind control of the office management for a lengthy period of time and reached my mental and physical limits. I think this is a bad translation. Mind control could be anything, like gaslighting or whatever, but you get the point. More specifically, I suffered from severe withdrawal symptoms when I stopped taking my psychotic medication. This led to repeated self-harm and becoming dependent on alcohol. Finally, in March of the year before last, I attempted to leave this planet but failed and was yet given a directive order to continue my activities. I now suffer from a conversion disorder and will be hospitalized in the future because I have difficulty walking and speaking. Because of this, I have decided that it is no longer possible for me to establish a trusting relationship with my office. Oh, what do you mean a trusting relationship?
There was no trust to begin with. There was no trust in this shit to begin with, bro. Trust in my ass, bro. What?
Regarding the accusations above, we have already consulted with relatives and lawyers and recorded and videotaped everything.
How is this company not dead,
dude? Including payments of debts.
How in the world is how is the government not gotten involved with something like this, bro? Jesus Christ, dude. There's so many freaking there's so much illegal stuff going on here. It's not even funny.
Absolutely dystopian, like ridiculous. The fact that you would force
there is so much illegal stuff going on right now
to work after attempting to leave the planet. I just can't understand what the hell's going on. I'm telling you, my jaw dropped multiple times.
There is so much illegal stuff going on right now.
Would also leave the company by the name of Kobe Ururu, saying that he couldn't stand how people were treated in the company, including himself, specifying that he had witnessed many VTubers suffer so much damage because of this company. And finally, you'd have Tenjo Yuga expressing the same things, more specifically when it comes to the contracts. They had pointed out to management that this is a fake contract. This can't, like, legally apply, right? Well, whenever one of the talents would ask questions about the contract or have second thoughts, they'd be repeatedly threatened by Wachter. This, much like everything else they were doing, was extremely illegal. Again, I'd like to...
Bro, this is why when it comes to these agencies, bro, I'm gonna be real, and I think I talked about this when it comes to vshojo, bro. For any company, it don't matter. You have to bring a lawyer with you to read that shit, bro. You have to, because these companies will try to screw you if they can. The only thing they care about is getting that money out of you, bro. Support the talents, but not the companies, man. Because these companies, on the flip of a freaking dime, bro, will betray you if they can get more money out of it. As evil as the shit sounds, as cruel as that shit sounds, bro, these companies... bruh, support the talents, but don't support the companies, man. These corporos are fucking evil, dude.
Specify this was all happening as the Selen Tatsuki controversy was taking place with Nijisanji. So people weren't really able to give this the attention it deserves. The fact that this company wasn't really established to make money. The CEO practically made it to take advantage of people, to make them go in debt, unable to leave, and to simply physically and mentally abuse them whenever he liked. It was absolutely disgusting, and they essentially had lost all of their...
This is like an illegal VTuber cartel company, basically, right here, where they got VTubers to join their shit just so they could abuse them, bro. This is like on some Mexican cartel type shit. That's what this is. This is like a Mexican illegal, like, VTuber agency cartel right here, bro. Like, holy shit.
Their talent, no surprise there. But as you've seen so far in this video, this company is so pathetic and desperate to stay relevant that they would literally do anything just to stay afloat with a crumb of relevancy. A few months would pass by, and Wachter's newest strategy in order to gain some sort of relevancy again was to commit yet another frowned upon industry taboo that no one had done before. Seeing that they had like no talents left, they decided to bring in new actors to revive dead characters, starting with Mitsurugi Lia. They would reopen the channel, would reuse the same model, but would have a different voice behind her. By the end of 2024, they would officially open auditions to revive dead...
Bro, how? I know that they still have the models, but how are they still getting people? Bro, this corporation is on some evil shit, bro. This is bro, like, this is on some, like, Eisen Madara level of manipulation, bro. How? How are they not bankrupt? And where's the freaking government at? Bro, there's so much illegal stuff going on right now.
VTubers with new actors. This is genuinely one of the worst things you can do. Look, if you don't watch VTubers, maybe you wouldn't understand the gravity of the situation. But I mean, just think, when you watch an anime and really enjoy someone's voice and then they get recast halfway through a season, you'll probably be pissed, right? Yeah. Think of it that way, except this isn't
like, if I had to bring up an example, I know a lot of people were kind of pissed about, for instance, you know, Kenpachi from Bleach. You know, the Kenpachi that we have right now, the voice actor who's doing Kenpachi's voice in Thousand Year Blood War, it's not the same dude from the original Bleach. And a lot of people wanted the original dude back. A lot of people wanted the original voice actor of Kenpachi back, but we got the new guy instead. And he does a good job. He does a decent job, but, you know, for a lot of people, you know, they really, like, Kenpachi kind of doesn't hit the same without that old voice actor. For a lot of people, that's kind of like the feeling with it is, I guess, in VTuber speak. It's like, you know, they put you never forget the original voice of a character, man. You really never do. When they, in a company like this, as bad as they are, when they out here doing some shit like this, that's pretty bad, dude.
Just a voice actor. This is an entire personality. This is someone that you'll buy merch of and will support whenever they do new projects. And now they're being bastardized with a new actor, showing you how much the company doesn't give a single shit about them.
How the hell is this company still alive, dude?
If it wasn't obvious yet, Taboo's...
Like, bro, like, vshojo got shut down after all what they did. They went bankrupt. But you're telling me we got a VTuber agency that's out here doxing and suing people, you know, like crazy, and yet somehow these dudes ain't bankrupt yet? Like, where are they getting their money from?
Didn't mean anything for Wactor. And judging by the view count of Mitsurugi today in 2025, when they had just streamed 2 days ago, getting 500 total views on a live stream of 2 hours means that she probably had maybe 10 live viewers. Okay, fine, maybe.
The fact that they're even still doing live streams is crazy to me, dude. Like, bruh, how's this company still alive, dude? Don't make sense to me, dude. It does not make sense. Jesus Christ.
50. It's safe to say things aren't going well, and I can't imagine what the new voice actress is going through right now.
Yeah.
Because even though Wactor changed their name to become Cute Inc. or whatever, the management
it's still the same management, bro.
We have proof of that. Look, by 2025, it was already a miracle that this company even existed. But it seemed like through partnerships and maybe selling some private shares, they were able to still remain. And unfortunately for literally every human being on Earth, they were still trying their best to succeed as a VTuber corporation.
How?
Seeing that they had lost most of their talent.
How is this company still alive, but vshojo is like gone? Like, you can't do nothing with them. But this corporation, this VTuber agency, which is inherently evil, is still alive. Like, that doesn't even make any sense.
They tried their best to recruit already established content creators like Devil Nya. You see, Devil wanted to make some friends and collaborate more often in the VTubing space. This is kind of hard to do as a VTuber, especially in the Japanese scene, where most people only do so within their own corporate boundaries. So she expressed interest in joining Wactor, and Wactor welcomed her. Both Wactor and Devil had announced to the world that she was planning to debut. And as they were planning that debut, Devil, in a now deleted tweet on March 9th, 2025,
yeah, get that out. We gone.
That upon further consideration, she changed her mind and will not be joining Wactor. Probably the best decision.
The best decision she's ever made, bro. I was about to say, no, bro, we can't have another victim of this, bro. Can't. Nah, no way. You gotta... Like, at this point, when it comes to VTuber agencies in general, for anybody who's out there trying to become a VTuber and wants to join corporate and not be just strictly indie, just do your research, bro. Because this agency, I don't know how they're still alive after half the stuff they did, bro.
Ever made in her life. She didn't really give us much detail about her decision, except saying that it was a very scary world, most likely referencing Wactor's past actions. This pissed off Wactor so much. On the same day, they would make a statement in which they try their best to convince the entire world that they're actually the victims here. Now, of course, Wactor can't really make statements without leaking something, of course. In this case, thankfully, there weren't any names, national ID numbers, locations, or anything.
I was about to say, yo, did they dox this person? It ain't funny, but at the same time, it really is, because at the same time, it's like, bro, there's no way they dox this person and they're not even an official part of the company. That would be even crazier, though. To be honest, they've already done this. Like, didn't they, if I'm correct, if we go back to that beginning portion, they already doxed, like, apparently some of the fans of this company back when they first started out. Oh my gosh, yo, this company is crazy, dude.
It would leak a Discord message from Devil that was sent to, I guess, one of the managers or higher-ups of Wactor, with her saying, after seeing how things are, I do not feel like the others here are serious about their VTubing activities. As such, I do not see the point in continuing in this environment. They were essentially trying to make her out to be a mean girl, someone who was insulting their talent and their company.
Bro, what talent? They ain't got nobody left.
By now, people knew better than to just trust Wactor for their word.
Yeah.
Their track record was abysmal, and for good reason. In a now deleted tweet, Devil would quote tweet that statement with the actual full message. Remember how she said that she wanted to join an agency to make friends and collab with people? Yeah, well, in her full explanation, she would say that she felt like most VTubers at Wactor did VTubing as a side hustle, that they didn't do it full time. It wasn't what she was looking for. She just didn't fit there. And in that context, it's very
that
reasonable.
Makes sense.
Wactor would again look like complete and utter pathetic clowns.
Yeah.
And the top reply to their post would be, well, if they make such a threatening announcement, it will only reinforce what they're saying about this scary world. Referencing
they're cooked, dude. They're freaking cooked.
Reply said, don't even think about doxing her, you bastards.
Yeah.
The whole thing was very funny. They were saying that she had damaged their company reputation when no one had done that except Wactor over the last few years. But unfortunately, as I already said, just like a cockroach, you can never get rid of Wactor. Even after being embarrassed, humiliated.
How is this company still alive?
Agencies I've ever seen. In the summer of 2025, they would come back in the public limelight to prove to us that even though they've already gone very low, they can still go way lower.
Bro, how do you go any lower than this?
2025, Wactor would post a press release on their website saying that they had sued 4 individuals for serious past breaches of contract, so previous talents, and 1, with the courts ordering all those talents to pay over 10 million yen combined to Wactor, which means over $60,000. Now, of course, when this news was initially posted to Reddit and other social media, most people were quick to blame Japan for its very weird laws, like the defamation law, which says a person who defames another by alleging facts in public shall, regardless
How did they win?
Such facts are true or false, be punished by imprisonment with or without work for not more than 3 years or a fine of not more than 500,000 yen. So yes, you read that right. If you're working a job in Japan and your boss touches you without your consent and you tweet about it or talk about it to others, even if you manage to convince the police to put him in jail, he can still sue you for defamation because you ruined his reputation. So of course, most comments thought that, oh, you know, these lawsuits were in Japan, they were taking advantage of Japanese laws. Japan's clearly the problem here, right? But here's what shocked the f out of me. Only 2 of these lawsuits were in Japan. One was in Spain and one was in Paraguay. Unfortunately, due to Wactor doxing Hina Misora, we can guess that she's the one in Paraguay that was sued by them and lost her lawsuit against them. The press release details that this involves 1 Japanese male, 1 Japanese female, 1 Spanish female, and 1 Paraguay female. Some people have guessed that the defendants are Hina Misora, Luna Rurin, Tenjo Yuga.
How did they win these lawsuits,
dude? And if that wasn't bad enough, Wactor would say that they were preparing to file additional lawsuits against similar breaches of contract using these rulings as precedents. This means that they're going after even more talents that had breached their contracts according to them in the past.
So let me get this straight. Because they're such a shitty company and can't make money because obviously they ain't got no talents, they basically resorted to hitting the fucking Nintendo button and trying to sue everybody they can to keep themselves alive to get money. Jesus Christ, dude. Crazy thing about this is it's still not going to keep them alive. They don't make any money at this point. I would assume at this point, if they're still alive, they don't make any money. They have no talents. And unless they're planning on suing every one of their freaking VTubers who basically left, then they're cooked. And that's if they even win all of those. And then not to mention, they still are cooked either way because they're not making any money. They're going to go bankrupt eventually. Like, they're basically just prolonging the beginning of the end. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they're doing this so that when the company does go bankrupt, that I guess they leave with something. I don't know. The people at the top. Like, this is crazy.
No one was going to be safe. The Japanese female that lost the lawsuit was someone who had said that she was sexually harassed at the company. So not only was she sexually harassed in the company, according to her, but now she has to pay them a huge sum of money.
What?
You want to know the worst thing? All these lawsuits, including the Spanish and Paraguayan one, have judgments that can be enforced by force, such as by seizing property. This means that these poor VTubers that were barely paid a cent under this dystopian company now have to pay them over $10,000 and can risk losing their own property because of that.
Bro,
this
what?
is so bad. And I really have no idea how they could have won outside of Japan.
Bro, I'm gonna be real. How the hell I guess the Japan ones make sense due to how the laws are there, which that law is stupid. I'm gonna be real. That whole defamation one, because let's be real, it's defamation if it ain't true. Let's be real here. It's defamation if it ain't true. It ain't defamation if the person ain't lying. Defamation means that you're trying to ruin somebody's life, specifically with lies. The stuff that you're talking about, what they did, it ain't true. So the fact that you can literally get somebody for doing something bad, get them in jail, and they can still sue you, has got to be the dumbest law of all time. They need to get rid of that shit. That is stupid. Spain and Paraguay, I don't know what their laws are when it comes to this shit, but that's crazy, dude.
I don't know which kind of lawyers they're hiring, maybe the same lawyers Nintendo hires. But if what they're saying is true, other companies such as Nijisanji, for example, can go after their previous talents simply for speaking out, making them pay huge amounts of money and pretty much using legal extortion. Not enough people are talking about this. This is actually dystopian.
This is so stupid.
I'm just completely shocked. I really hope the people that they sued that now have to pay them over $68,000 can find a solution. I hope that they're doing okay. And I hope that the freaks that whacked her never win another lawsuit again. God. Anyway, now you know that this company unfortunately still exists, and that with every passing day, they're doing a better and better job at being the worst company you've ever heard of. Please be careful out there. Never sign a contract without hiring a lawyer. I don't care how much it costs.
Bruh,
just
facts.
please hire a lawyer. Don't get scammed.
Dude,
and stay safe out there. Thank you so much for watching until the
The fact that this company is still alive is beyond me, dude. Once again, I think I talked about this in the beginning. But, bruh, I'm gonna be real. After I've seen all the stuff that we've been seeing with, vshojo, Nijisanji, and apparently this company too, bro, just be an indie. If you want to be a VTuber, just be an indie. Unless I don't know how Hololive is doing, but straight up at this point, indie VTubers are the future. Because these agencies are on some bullshit for real. These fuck me, dude. These freaking agencies are on some BS with the nonsense they're doing. Like, holy shit, this is easily the most evil fucking agency out there, period. This is easily in VTuber space, this is easily the most evil one. Not even close. That is wild, dude. I hope those VTubers that are getting sued or that lost those lawsuits are okay for real, because that's stupid. That's really stupid for real. Like, holy shit. Like, straight up, like, once again, if you are going to sign up for an agency or anything that's to revolve, like, a contract, like he said, bro, straight up, get a lawyer. Get something, bro, because you can't, these agencies will fuck you over easily, bro. They do not care. The only thing they care about is money, dude, and they will screw you over if they can. Support the talents, but not these agencies, man, because holy shit, man. But I guess that's pretty much going to be it. Yeah, this company, this Whacker company, I can't believe these guys are still alive, dude. I can't believe these dudes are still alive. Matter of fact, I'm curious. I'm curious. Have these guys even made a video or anything recently? It looks like somebody else is talking about this. Looks like somebody else is talking about this too. I can't find their official channel, so I would assume that they are just straight up cooked. I'm assuming these guys are just straight up cooked, but yeah, it looks like there's a lot of other VTubers, or at least there's a couple that I saw that were doing or talking about how bad this company is, and I'm glad the word's getting out there, because as bad as this company is, there needs to be more coverage on it. There needs to be more coverage on how bad this company is, because I would hate for any other new and up-and-coming VTuber to get caught up with this company and then have to deal with the stuff that these guys are dealing with right now, because apparently these idiots are going out and trying to sue other talents that quit their company for whatever reason. Jesus Christ, man. But without further ado, yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it. Fuck, I ain't even got words to say after this. Great video by MUJIN covering this, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there for real, man.